Hi everyone, and you are welcome to Introduction to Special Methods lecture. In the previous lecture, we have seen the following example, and we understand that usually we are using special methods in order to define the actions that should be executed when operators, for example, are used with objects from my class. But hold on, sometimes we heard special methods, sometimes we heard magic methods or Dunder methods. So what all of these terms? To know more about this, join me in this lecture. First of all, I'll start this lecture by a formal definition to what special methods are. After that, we will talk about Dunder methods and magic methods. And once we understand all of these definitions, we will see together how we can override a special methods regardless of its type. And as usual, I'll end up this lecture by a quick summary. So let's get started. So what special methods are? Simply, these methods are the methods that aren't meant to be invoked directly by you, so you will not call these methods explicitly. However, the invocation of this method happens internally and beyond the scene from the class when a certain action happens. What I mean by this, for example, when you use a plus operator with two objects of your class, what the behavior that you want to be executed, or what the action that you want to be executed. So whether it's a plus operator or any other operator, for each one there is a method. And when you override this method or you redefine this method actually, you are defining the action that you want to be executed when you use this operator. And special methods actually are not limited only to operators. Also, they are called beyond the scene when other functions are used with objects of your class. Like for example, data types function like string, integer, etc. So when I use str function with an object from my class, actually what I want to do is to convert my object into string. But converting the object into string sometimes is weird because there is no meaning to convert an object into string. But when you use the special method that represents the string, you define how you want your object to be converted into string. And this is the main job of special method. Now real examples about these special methods actually. The first one, which is init. And we have seen this method before, and we use it to initialize the instance attributes by the initial values. And as we have seen before, I define init in my class, but I don't call init. Init is automatically called when I define an object from my class. Also, another example about this method is _str_, and this method also is automatically called when you use str function with your object of your class. Now let's talk about some terms that usually are related to special methods. In Python community, we call special methods Dunder methods. You will ask why? It's very simple. Let me show you. As we have seen from the previous two examples that these methods has the following name convention. _, special method name, _. As an example, init. Usually, and for shortcut purpose, we say instead of _, we say Dunder. And for this reason, we call these special methods Dunder methods. And also, I don't want you to be overwhelmed, just for your info, that sometimes we call these methods also magic methods. So whether I say special methods, Dunder methods, or magic methods, all of these concepts refer to the same meaning. Now let's learn how we can override these special methods. It's very simple. These special methods are related to a class. So first of all, you have to define a class. And as usual, we define our constructor in this class. Defining the constructor is not a compulsory, but this is just what we are doing usually. After that, you have to define the special methods that you want to use. So for example, here, I'm saying def _, special method _, self. And as you see, special method is just a normal method like any other normal method in Python, but all what you have to be careful from is the name, because these names are reserved in Python. Once you have defined your special method, the class will understand that this method will be called automatically when the action that is related to this method happens. Now let's move to Jupyter Notebook to see some real examples about these special methods. First of all, let me paste the following class. It's a student class, which we are already familiar with, in which I have some instance attributes like ID, first name, last name, etc. And I have one instance method which is enroll. And from this class, I defined here an object which is student. Next, let's use dir function with this object. Dir function, it's a function that will give you all the accessible name by the object that you have, which means when you say object dot, what are the names that you can use? Let's see. If I say dir student run, you will see here a long list. In this list, we have age, classes, enroll, first name, full name, ID, last name. And all of these are the instance attributes and the methods that we have inside the class itself. But hold on, there are other names here like Dunder class, Dunder del Atter, and so on. Let me tell you that all of these names come because of inheritance between this class and object class. You don't see any object class here, I know that, but let me tell you that in Python, all the classes inherits implicitly the object class. Don't worry if you don't fully understand the idea right now, because we will talk about inheritance in details later on. But what I need you to know right now that there are some special methods which are already available and predefined for each class in Python by default. Now let's pick one of these special methods and see how it works and how I can override it. So for example, I have the method dunder str. When this method will be called? Simply, this method will be called when you try to call str function for an object of your class. So if I say print str and the object that I have it's student and run, let me just print some empty spaces. Alright, so you will see here that the output of this str function is main.studentObject@, and this number represents the memory location in which this object is stored. This string actually it's very ugly, so let's see how we can override this method in a way I can print a representative value or more representative value for my object. So what I will do now, I'll take this class with my object and I'll move to a new cell, empty cell, and here I'll say def $str_self. As I mentioned in the lecture, in order to override this method, you have to redefine it under the class that you have. So what I want to return in this case, let me say for example, I want to return the following statement. I am an object of the class student. Now let's see the difference. Let me run. Now I already run, so nothing happened because I'm just redefining my class. Now let's recall the function str with my object and let's see now what will be printed out. Run. You will see this result. I am an object of the class student. Why this happened? Because now I override this str method. So I override it in a way to change the value that should be returned when the function str is called. Now, we can also get access to the object that this method is called for. So here, this object will be self. So simply I can say, I am an object of the class student. I can say, my name is, let's say, self.firstname. And here I will make it as a formatted string, so I can use this notation. And run. Now, the string, I am an object of the class student, and my name is John. So quite simply, dunder str is the method that gets called when str method is called for object of your class, and in this way we can override it. Now let's recap what we have learned in this lecture. First of all, I have defined special methods, and as we have seen, they are just the methods that are not meant to be invoked directly, so they are not invoked explicitly, whereas the invocation happens internally beyond the scene when a certain action happens. Also, we have seen that there are three terms used interchangeably, which are special methods, dunder methods, and magic methods, and all of these terms refer to the same thing. After that, we have learned how to override special methods, and all what we have to do is just to define this special method as any other method in Python, but be careful to use the reserved name in Python because these names are predefined. That's all for this lecture. Thank you very much for your time, and if you are available, join me in the next lecture.